Hi class, my name is Kelly Neal and I'm going to be teaching you how to do foot care for state competency. It is a little different than doing a foot soak. For state competency testing, you get 30 minutes for your entire test. So obviously you can't soak the foot for 15 to 20 of that. So with state competency, we do it just a little different. The first thing I'm going to do is get my supplies. And what I'm going to need for my supplies is I'm going to need a bath basin, I'm going to need soap, and I'm going to need lotion for this, a waterproof pad. I'm going to need 1 or 2 washcloths and then a towel to drape my surface and a towel to dry. So I would get all of my supplies and I'll go ahead and set up here. So I have my drape, my towel to dry, my washcloths. I'm going to get a pair of gloves. I will also have my waterproof pad for my patient to go under his leg and my bath basin here. Now before I get my patient all set up, I like to go get my water because I don't want to leave my patient once I get the bed raised up in a good working position. So I'm going to go over to the sink and I would get my water. Now for state competency, generally the only skills that you will use actual water for is if you get dentures and your initial hand washing. Most places that you test, they just have you pretend water, but it's up to the facility that you test at. They can actually have you go get water if you want. So I'm going to get some nice warm water and I'm going to test it to make sure it's not too hot, and I'm going to ask my patient to check it as well. And he says it's fine. So I had already explained to him that I was going to do his foot care, but initially for state competency I would knock and say, Mr. Smith, are you ready to get your foot care done? And he said yes. So I went and got all my supplies. I'm going to go ahead and raise the bed up for good working height. Now I can actually do this skill. I could sit him at the side of the bed and set up on the floor and have him do the care there. But I personally prefer to actually have it up here while he's laying in bed. But he would need to be supine for this. I'm going to pull my privacy curtain. And now I'm going to expose the leg I'm working on. Can you see everything okay? Okay. All right, I'm going to put my waterproof pad underneath them, and it can be a disposable type waterproof pad or the kind that we use at the facility. It doesn't matter. I've already got my warm water that I checked and he checked. Now before I actually start handling or washing the foot anyway, I'm going to make sure that I have my gloves on. Bring my supplies here so I will be able to reach them well, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put his foot in the water. Now my mannequin doesn't bend too well, but you actually need to submerge the foot in the water. It's not just I wet my washcloth and wash his foot. You actually have to submerge the entire foot in the water. You don't have to soak it for any length of time. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my washcloth wet, and I'm going to put my poor mannequin. You'll have a real person in bed for this, by the way. So I am going to go ahead and put soap on my washcloth, and I'm going to go ahead and wash my foot. And you're going to wash the foot and the ankle and the heel and in between each toe. Now I can put this over here. You're going to put it back in the water to actually rinse all that soap off. And you can if you want. That's one of the reasons I went ahead and grabbed an extra washcloth. If I didn't feel like it washed off really well in between the toes, I can go ahead and wash off in between my toes. Rinse, make sure all that soap is off. Put that one away. Now I can get this out of my way. And I'm going to go ahead and dry my foot. Now, when you're doing your skills for state competency, you actually do want to tell your evaluator what you're doing, explain each step as you're doing it. So I'm going to dry the foot. Now I'm going to still leave that towel there because I'm going to put a little lotion on the foot. So I'm going to put some lotion on, and I can rub lotion on the tops of the feet and on the bottom of the feet, just not in between the toes. But if I have a lot of excess lotion, then I'll go ahead and pat that off. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to go ahead and take this. How did that feel, Mr. Smith? So now I'm going to cover him back up. Now, Before I walk away from him, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna lower his bed back down. I'll come back to make sure he's straightened up and comfortable and has call light once I get rid of all my things, but I don't wanna walk away from that bed in enough position. I'm gonna take my basin of water and I'm gonna take this and I'll dump it in the bathroom. I'm gonna rinse it, clean it, and dry it. So when you have a skill that requires a bath basin, the basin needs to be emptied, rinsed, and dried before you put it away, and then you'll put it back in its designated area. They're just gonna have you put it back where you got it from, so I'll put my supplies back over there. My waterproof pad, if I'm using the disposable kind, I'm gonna put it in the garbage. And my rest of my soiled linens here, I'm gonna go ahead and they will have pop-up linen hampers. I will drop this in the pop-up linen hamper. Anytime you do a skill that requires gloves, you turn to your evaluator so they can see you take off your gloves. I'm gonna take this first one. I'm gonna come underneath this one. So this will go right here in my garbage. And I'm gonna tell my evaluator I would wash my hands. We don't wash our hands for every skill. We just will the first skill of the day, we wash our hands actually at the sink. But after that, we just verbalize the hand washing and we'll run out of time. And then I'm gonna come back and make sure this person's situated. I'm gonna go ahead and pull my privacy curtain back. I'm gonna make sure that I'd already lowered the bed back in a low position, but I'm gonna make sure he can reach his call light. See if he wants his head of his bed up a little bit, and if he needs anything else. And then I'm gonna tell my evaluator I'm done with this skill.